You might be looking at this and thinking, wow, that's a huge grapefruit. But what if I told you it's hiding a pretty incredible secret? This is the pomelo, the largest citrus fruit in the world. And believe it or not, it's the original ancestor of so many fruits we know and love today. So let's peel back the layers on this amazing giant. So let me ask you this. What if that grapefruit you have in your fridge is actually the descendant of this thing? That's right, the pomelo isn't just bigger, it's the OG, the ancestor of a whole branch of the citrus family. And its story? Well, it's a pretty fascinating piece of natural history. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to go on a complete seed-to-table journey with the pomelo. First, we'll get to know this giant ancestor. Then we'll cover how to grow it, how to take care of the tree, deal with any pests, and of course, the best part, how to harvest it and unlock all that amazing flavor. So let's kick things off with Section 1, Meet the Giant Ancestor. We're about to uncover the origins of this seriously impressive fruit. Okay, so its fancy name is Citrus maxima. And trust me, that maxima part is no joke. This thing is native to Southeast Asia, and some of them can weigh a wild 9 pounds. But here's the most important part. The pomelo isn't a hybrid. It's an original ancestral species, one of the true OGs of the citrus world. So let's break down the classic comparison. On one hand, you've got the grapefruit we all know, thin rind, super juicy, and that signature tart flavor. But then you look at the pomelo, and it's a whole different ballgame. It has this incredibly thick, spongy rind, protecting a pulp that's way milder, much sweeter, and just incredibly refreshing. Okay, get ready for this, because the family tree is mind-blowing. The pomelo, one of the original citrus fruits, first crossed with a mandarin, and what did we get? The sweet orange. But here's the crazy part. That new sweet orange then crossed back with its own parent, the pomelo, and that's how we got the grapefruit. So the pomelo is both the parent and the grandparent of the grapefruit. How cool is that? And this quote just nails it. It perfectly captures what the pomelo is all about. You get that familiar citrus vibe of a grapefruit, but without that intense pucker-up bitterness. That mildness, that's the key. It's what makes it so uniquely delicious and refreshing. All right, on to Section 2, From Seed to Sapling. Now that you know what it is, let's talk about how you can start your very own pomelo journey. So, the big question is, can you actually take a seed from a pomelo you bought at the store and grow a tree from it? The answer is yes, you absolutely can. In fact, sometimes nature just does the work for us when a discarded fruit decides to sprout all on its own. And the process itself is really straightforward. First up, just grab some seeds from a nice ripe fruit and give them a good cleaning. Then plant them in a pot that has some good, porous soil. You'll want to keep that soil moist and in a warm spot, and before you know it, you should see little sprouts popping up. Once your new sapling is about a foot tall, it's ready for its new home in a bigger pot or right in the ground. Now, gotta give you a little insider info. The pros, the commercial growers, they usually use something called grafting. They take a branch from a tree they know produces amazing fruit and attach it to a sturdy root system. This guarantees the fruit is true to type, basically a perfect copy, and it starts producing way faster. A tree from a seed takes longer, and you might get a fun surprise, a slightly different fruit, which is part of the adventure. Okay, moving on to Section 3, Tending your pomelo tree. Your sapling is planted, now what? Let's talk about the keys to keeping it happy and healthy. First off, location is everything. Pomelos are sun worshippers, so you need to give them a spot with full sun, ideally in USDA zones 9 through 11. And these trees get big, so give them plenty of room to stretch out, at least 12 to 15 feet of space. Water them deeply every week or two, and this is crucial. You have to protect those young trees from any frost. Anything below 28 degrees Fahrenheit is a no-go. Now, to get those giant, delicious fruits, you've got to feed your tree. But don't worry, we've made it super simple. During the spring and summer growing season, hit it with a good citrus fertilizer every 4 to 6 weeks. Here's a great pro tip. Once a month, give it a little Epsom salt mixed with water for a magnesium boost. And of course, keep adding organic compost to the soil. And speaking of soil, there's one more detail you absolutely need to know. Pomelos thrive in well-drained, sandy loam. But here's the key. That soil needs to be slightly acidic. Getting that pH right is what allows the tree to soak up all those great nutrients you're feeding it. All right, Section 4, Garden Friends and Foes. Let's talk about the critters you might run into and how to manage them the organic way. Okay, here are the usual suspects and some simple organic fixes. If you see those big citrus swallowtail caterpillars munching on leaves, you can honestly just pick them off by hand. For leaf miners, which make those squiggly tunnels, a simple pest oil works wonders. And if you get aphids, a gentle organic insecticide will take care of them. Easy peasy. But you know what's even better than fighting pests? Not having to fight them in the first place. Your best defense is a strong offense, which means a healthy, well-fed tree. Just make it a habit to check the leaves for any signs of trouble. And please steer clear of those harsh pesticides. They wipe out the good bugs that are actually on your side, acting as your garden's personal security team. Okay, on to section 5, and this is the best part, the art of the harvest. Let's learn how to tell when that giant citrus is perfectly ripe and begging to be picked. So, how do you know when it's ready? Well, you've got to use all your senses. First, look at the color. You want a nice, rich, uniform yellow. Then give it a gentle press. It should feel just slightly soft and spongy. And finally, use your nose. It should have a sweet, fragrant smell right at the stem. Some old school gardeners even say that when it's perfectly ripe, the stem will snap off with just a little twist. And the really great news is, this isn't a one-and-done deal. Pomelo trees are perennials, which means they'll keep giving you fruit for years and years. It's a bit of a long-term investment for sure, but a healthy tree can start producing fruit in just its second or third year. And finally, section 6, unlocking the flavor. You've harvested your fruit, you've got it in your hands. Now let's talk about how to get to the good stuff inside. Now, this is super important. You can't just peel a pomelo like an orange. There's a little technique to it, but it's easy once you know how. First, slice off the top and bottom. Then, score the rind down the sides, making a few vertical cuts. Now you can peel that thick rind away in sections. Once you've got the segments separated, there's one last crucial step. You have to peel off that tough, bitter membrane from each piece to get to the sweet pulp inside. Don't skip this part. And once you've got that beautiful pulp, the possibilities are endless. It's fantastic just to eat fresh as a snack. You can break it up and toss it into salads. There's an amazing Thai salad with garlic, coconut cream, and chili that is just a die for. You can juice it for a drink that's way less sweet than orange juice. And hey, don't throw out that thick rind. You can actually candy it for a traditional sweet treat. And while you're enjoying all that deliciousness, you're doing your body a huge favor. I mean, check this out. It's a powerhouse of fiber, potassium, and antioxidants. But the real headline here is the vitamin C. A single pomelo can have up to 600% of your daily value. 600%! That's just incredible. Okay, just a quick but important note here. All the info we've shared today is for educational purposes. This is not medical advice, so please, if you have any specific health concerns, make sure you talk to a qualified healthcare professional. And this next slide is critically important. Please listen carefully. Because the pomelo is related to the grapefruit, it can contain compounds that can interfere with certain medications, things like statins or blood pressure drugs. So if you are taking any prescription medication, it is absolutely vital that you talk to your doctor or pharmacist before you start eating pomelo. Seriously, this is not something to guess on. You know, this quote really sums up the whole experience perfectly. The pomelo's flavor doesn't shout at you. It's subtle, it's mild, and it's just so refreshing. And the texture is what makes it so unique. Those little individual sacs of pulp just burst in your mouth. It's a really satisfying fruit to eat. So, there you have it. You've officially met the great ancestor of the citrus family, the parent and, yes, the grandparent of the grapefruit. Now that you know its history and all the secrets hidden inside that thick peel, I have to ask, will you ever look at a grapefruit the same way again?